Hey, Vaughn. So you're doing 45 townhomes?
The townhouse? Yeah, 54.
54 townhomes?
54.
How are you?
Hey, Brandon, I feel like you've got us called to the principal's office.
I did. About time.
How are you?
Yeah. Well.
Good.
Yeah.
Hey, how's it going?
Good.
What would it take?
Hey, Matthew.
Hi, Joe Siggety with PV3.
Brandon Green.
Hi, Brandon.
Flagship.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. What was your last name?
Siggety.
Right next to
Yeah.
Yo. Okay.
This is their townhomes and then this is our single family.
Okay, you'll
Oh, sorry. It goes like that. And then these are all single families.
So.
This is Old Highway. This is Matt's house. This is Matt's. And so this is the Old Highway, the fire station's right up there. So we come out, single family right there. This is the Craig. Yeah, yeah. Juan, how are you?
Good, how are you?
Good. Good. This is Joe Cigarette.
Cigarette, you ready?
He's with PV3.
Subbing in for Tony and Blaine today.
Tony is in Hawaii doing stuff with
It's all hamburgers.
hamburgers with Seven Brothers. They've been the main guys behind Seven Brothers. I don't know why we don't have one up here.
Working on it.
I'll say he bought a whole bunch of the franchise, like a whole bunch of
He did.
what I heard, so.
Yeah. I just want to see
Because we can't
Tony.
afford to eat there.
One kid, though.
They're competitive prices for how awesome the hamburgers are.
Very good.
Juan, was he just put in as your bishop, Tony? Or different ward?
Toby Johnson's my bishop.
Oh,
He's in the
Tony was just,
Grandview.
yeah, he just put in Sunday. And I said, okay, I want to see him without the beard. He goes, no, they told me I didn't have
Yeah,
to.
they don't we can do that anymore.
Man,
Oh, he's on the other side of the valley from me.
oh, is he?
Yeah.
Okay.
We go to the same building, which caught me off guard one day, because I was looking, I'm going like, you look really familiar, but I don't know why. I've never seen him in a shirt.
Well, it's good to hear he at least attends once in a while. Unlike some people.
But you're looking at me.
No, yeah,
I think he's talking about himself.
Oh,
yeah, talking about me. Now, is there's BN, RN, and SN, is that's not Mike Newton? Or,
Brandon, something.
SN these are our note takers. These are just AI. So this is Brandon's note taker. SN is my note taker.
I don't know who RN is.
That's the register.
Somebody else's meeting notes, not our meeting. So we basically employ little robots that take notes for us. It's great.
oh,
We can give you a copy after.
AI takes your notes?
Yeah.
Really?
Pretty accurate too.
Well, cities should employ, or county should employ that as their minute takers.
I think that's what they do, is they record it and then they can AI the whole meeting and
Yeah.
search it. And
Do they really?
That's nice.
Goodbye,
Those are real
stenographers.
they can go back and search the minutes like
Yeah, goodbye stenographer.
real fast.
I'm still just using a pen.
Retired using a pen.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, that's a better way of saying it.
Well, let's get started. If everybody can state their name just to get started. If it's involved in the meeting. Matt Wilson.
Von Nickerson,
Steve Jackson, Flagship Homes.
Brandon Green, Flagship Homes.
Rating Blocker.
Roland Gardner.
Joe Siggety with PV3.
Did you get it all, Kate?
Yeah, thank you.
So were you, doing the meeting? That's what I was told. Is that correct? Or am I just, do you want me to take charge?
I would like you to take charge because I did
Okay.
not find out about this until about 5 minutes ago. So,
Okay. And,
lead away.
and, Garrett's not gonna be here, I'm assuming.
He's not.
Okay.
I'm fairly up to speed on everything. I've met with these guys a few times with Josh.
Okay, perfect. And I guess Josh is sick or otherwise afflicted. Kate as well. Okay, well, I guess, the reason for this meeting is so we can all begin to, we thought we were pretty clear as a commission the last go round, but apparently we had not been as clear as we needed to be in playing in the same sandbox and everybody given and taken so we can have a beautiful area down in Mountain Green. So our vision as a commission is that we would start with this, the Mountain Green City Center. And then we would have higher density around that. And then the density would dissipate as we worked our way all the way out to Flagship's property to that end of the community. I understand everything's zoned town center. And if we don't play together, then it can't look like that. Because everybody's supposed to have 35%. Now 35% from 3 different people is a lot of area, is what we had decided in our last meeting. So we felt like, you know, we could give and take and end up with some single family homes, dwellings on that south end of the project, or southeast end of the project, I guess we can call it. And have our higher density. And that would mean that gardeners would have to allow you guys some high density down that direction. And I don't know, PV3 doesn't have anything on that side of the road as far as I'm aware of, correct? So who's the third individual? Is the Johnsons, but their property's already zoned, correct?
It is.
So it's really you two is what it comes down to?
Well, our
Johnson's.
35 acres are next to their 40 acres. And then Johnson's been more commercial with his development agreement. And then across the street's PV3.
And theirs is all the commercial section from Rome, is that correct?
Correct.
Okay.
So I guess the meeting is how can we get, because what Brandon presented to us the other night as a commission, we just all looked at it, kind of went,
No,
that ain't gonna work, you know, so.
but you gave input on what you'd like to see and so I think that's where we've got to come to how we're going to get that, because it feels to me and Ruin, you chime in because you're involved, but it feels to me like small little chunks are getting approved. And then we've got these big chunks that we've got to figure out what to do with. But
So there was 2 small chunks approved on either side in the higher density area.
Yeah.
The center down through the center and spreading out to you guys.
Yeah.
Is not approved.
it's not approved.
Correct.
And so figuring out and I think when we met a few months ago, it was to try and figure out where the commercial was going to go and how we were going to designate that commercial. And take our commercial 35% and combine it with your commercial 35% to come up with a city center. Is that town center?
We're 12.42 acres of commercial on our 35 acres. And we were trying to put it in the commercial center,
Okay.
which is what Chairman Wilson is saying.
Would our 14 acres be able to fit inside of that?
Well,
Or is that
Therein lies, we don't know how the commercial between PB3 and between us trying to create the commercial center, it doesn't match up acres for acre,
Right.
right? So when we last met, we thought you were thinking you would be more commercial. And we kind of said, well, no, we'd like to stay where the traffic is and be the commercial side. And then where we, I think, got a little off topic, which what you're talking about, was we kind of got sidetracked with some of the other things that were happening in our world. Not that we're not opposed to that. So we thought Josh was going to do an amended ordinance.
He's not here.
He's sick.
He's sick today.
He's sick. He's not
Oh,
here.
he's sick? Oh, okay. He was gonna do an amended ordinance that we can't, PB3 or the commercial center can't just absorb that without an amended town center ordinance that allowed that to be moved in. Josh said, well, after the last meeting he was in, he didn't think that that was happening, that we were gonna absorb that in. And I said, well, I don't think it absorbs acre for acre, just to be honest with you. Because I think there's not that kind of, you're 14, we're 12, 26 acres
Right.
into that whole world. But at the same time, we kind of got sidetracked on trying to figure out kind of just the basic elements of development, i.e., what is best for the overall center. So we started coordinating and kind of the thing that jumped up right in front of us, and you were called into the same meetings we were in, and that was the Rocky Mountain World. And that goes through our 35 acres and goes through their 40 acres and also goes through Johnson's residential world, not the commercial. And so in our first meeting with Rocky Mountain, they would like to put 138 foot tall power poles through our ground. So when we started to put our product together, we're like, well,
Through that ground right through there?
They're gonna, well, we've been working with Rocky Mountain Power to shift it to our south property from off of but yeah, they're already there. We've gotta,
they're not there.
they're there, but they're not
They're
there.
wooden poles, 46 kVA. And so they want to bring 138 kVA up the canyon. And as they bring it up the canyon in this high voltage, it would look much like what you see going into Heber City. And so one of the first sidetracked issues that we were coordinating with Brandon was where does this go? Because we think it's pretty unsightly.
They can't bury it?
It's $1 million a mile. Much? $1 million a mile?
It's more than that. It's 1.6 just to get
Oh,
it in the ground.
1.6
I
now.
spoke to him.
I'll say, when I talked to him 9 months ago, they figured it was about $1 million a mile. So it's going up.
Tell the guys to work.
Yeah.
So
All working instead of half down.
So they're, and as Brandon represented to you the other night, they're trying to get it done sooner than later because they have a spot next in 2026, and it comes from the substation in Riverdale. And I don't know why our power comes from all the way down there, but it does. It comes up the canyon, and they would change up the canyon wooden poles with 46 to 138 kVA with 130 foot metal poles. The issue isn't, the issue is that it also increases the dimension of their right of way. It goes from 20 feet to 60 feet. And that's huge, going right through 35 acres and the 40 acres. So we've been coordinating in our last meeting. Brandon said, could we put it on the property lines? Well, if we put it on the property lines, that goes through us, kind of right in the middle. So the elephant in the room is UDOT. What are you gonna do with UDOT? Is they putting in a new 32-foot high interchange? And then they got these poles. So they said, well, we go to UDOT and UDOT says not to worry about it. We're like, what? You gotta worry about it. So
What do you mean, don't worry? That doesn't make sense.
we'll,
They're not
UDOT,
concerned about, the poles are tall enough, the new poles will be tall enough, is that what they're saying?
no. So if you call Region 1,
That's what I'm-
that's what you get. Don't worry about it. Because Region 1 isn't up to speed with the interchange. The interchange is really being dealt with on a global basis by the consultant. So,
So they're saying, don't worry about it, the interchange isn't
Yeah.
happening.
so we then met with them and said, well, isn't half the cost to go down? Because that's very expensive, to go down and then to come back up. And they said, yeah. And I said, and Janet's right. They're quoting over $1 million a mile. And I said, okay, so be it. Let's look at putting them underground. And they said, well, we're not sure. In the meeting I was in, Brandon was in this meeting. They said, we're not sure we can do that because we're going from 46 kVA to 138. And I said, what? What does that have to do with it? And they said, well, that's high voltage. I said, okay, wouldn't that be better? Now, pause for just a second, get our wits about us. Isn't that what's happening in California? They're demanding all those major lines go underground. Why?
Fine.
Because they just spent billions of dollars on fires. So we said to them, well, are you serious? You're going to come up the canyon? Why not just bury it and not fight a potential liability? And then as it gets to us, it's already underground. So Mr. Johnson, myself, and Brandon last met a week ago, Friday, or two Fridays ago.
2 Fridays ago.
Yeah.
Over at your office.
And we concluded that Brandon said he'd like it on the property line. And it's not necessarily a property line going north and south, it's more west and east going. And so we're saying, okay, but that then intersects our property going all the way through. And then, so we then said, hey, you don't have a 60-foot wide easement. And that's when they went, we're Rocky Mountain. In other words, they can get it. And I said, oh, okay. I'll call
So can't you
Berkshire
still
Hathaway and
build
tell them,
You can still build across those if they put them down far enough, can't you?
if you do
You
what?
can still build across one of those lines if you've got them down far enough.
I
can't
don't
you?
think you can.
You can't build under
You
them.
keep building.
You can't-
Nothing under.
You can't build under or on top.
You can build under them. They'll let you build under them, but they won't let you build over them. And the only reason I know that is because we've got that exact situation in Layton.
Yeah, I know that Layton used to do
Not
that.
over, close to where your shop is. Runs down Highway 80 or down.
What do you mean?
Highway
Well, no, you can't put a home on top. You're just saying the
50. You can put
infrastructure.
an infrastructure
Yeah.
underneath it.
So you
can't
can
put it over.
you can put a
Keep
roadway.
Structures.
You could put a roadway
You
on
put a
top of
road.
it.
You
You couldn't put a
can't
street.
live under a, because of the voltage, and
Can't.
possible ramifications. Okay, so we got sidetracked
Yeah.
on our planning as we were trying to work through this Rocky Mountain issue. We then commissioned these renderings because we don't think it's just our issue. This is ugly. This is bad. Now, we know there's not an ordinance and there's nothing else. It's just we've got to pay the piper. We've got to start budgeting to put this underground. Mr. Johnson says, well, I don't know why I changed my voice. I got to quit doing that. Sorry, Mr. Johnson.
It's better for the storytelling.
It is. Okay.
Change your.
I don't know that I have a problem because they don't have an easement. And I keep saying, it doesn't matter to Rocky Mountain. They are the gorilla, whatever you want to call it. So I then, after our meeting, I then called their engineer and said, can you give us an exact price? Janet's probably closer than we all are in putting these underground through our 35 acres, but it's gonna obviously be where the interchange is. And so probably through Mr. Johnson coming all the way along there, which probably would be around 2 miles. We just think that makes sense. But on the other hand, as long as they're down that far, they're only a hop, skip, and a jump away from the Lamb subdivision. Please look at what you could do to get it just underground to the Lamb subdivision.
Basically, you're looking at about 4 miles.
Yeah,
So they really can just, if they decide to go through your property, they can just say, we'll go through.
they can.
And yet then they want.
Well,
taxes.
But you want to work with them because in a roundabout way, we're 114 kilowatts short in Mountain Green right now. And so they're trying to upgrade the substation. Sure, that's 30 million and they're going to spend, several hundred million getting these lines in. So we're just trying to work with them because timing is of the essence to them. Now, the advantage to us, and Brandon and I studied this, was they're sitting on top of a dirt pile right now. So we can get rid of the dirt pile, we clean up the whole site. And then they're for that. So then the towers kind of have to make up for the dirt and then everything going into the air. So Brandon suggested we enter into dirt, what did you call it?
Well, the property line sits kind of halfway down the hillside, so we would go in and grade, but you've still got a mound of dirt, so we would just come in and create a flat area without having a hill in the middle of
Those
the development,
humps.
those humps. And so not wanting to go on to Ruland's property and grade it, there needs to be some kind of understanding because that exists on the south and the north side. That property we have has been mined in the center, but left edge, the stuff on the edges because of the power lines. So on the north side, we have power lines, just your regular household lines. And then on the south side, we've got the transmission lines. So distribution lines on the north and transmission on the south. So grade that whole thing flat, create a nice looking development that can be usable as a development.
So you're saying 65 feet wide by 2 miles long, you can't, right? Put any structures on top.
You can't put it on top.
Can't put structures other than
So you could make
roads.
that.
Yeah.
Green space way too long, or walking trails.
Yeah.
That could be part of your open
Right.
space.
Did Josh talk about, because we talked about how much 235% in acreage was, and it was a lot.
It is a lot.
And did he talk like we needed to rewrite the ordinance to be able to reduce that? Is that what we're talking about?
And then after the last meeting, PB3 says, well, we're not taking your commercial, and not, this isn't Joe, but Tony. And we said, well, we understand that, but I think we want to create a synergy of the commercial in that area. But I think in talking through with Tony, it was a little bit, well, that's a lot of acreage. And I said, wait, that's what the ordinance has got to modify. We got to stay with everybody being town center. Skylar, what did we conclude the overall acreage was?
85 acres.
Yeah, it was in the low 80s.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we said, okay, let's modify that. Josh stopped writing that. I talked to him yesterday and he says, well, I didn't think you guys could ever get together. And I said, well, okay, we understand that we need to come up with a amended ordinance. We've already talked with PBE, which amends their development agreement to accept or reject, whatever it is. But we just didn't think there was enough room to put 26 acres in that world. And so we would have to reduce that acreage. Now, is that for
So when you said PV3 said we don't want to take all the commercial, aren't they built out?
No.
No.
They only have commercial from the.
We only have
residential.
commercial left.
So all the residential from that original development is gone.
Yes.
You
So
guys
what did
purchased
you
the
mean by
commercials.
that?
So-
If they've only got commercial left, what do you mean?
They
don't wanna
were
take
saying,
on
well,
commercial.
they thought we were trying to impose all our wills on them. And we said, well, no, between Johnson's and PV3 being commercial, we think that that could be enough to create enough synergy for the commercial center in Mountain Green.
So my question then is, knowing that TC zone required 35% commercial, then why did you guys go for TC zoning in the first place, knowing that you didn't want it?
Because the commission wanted a development agreement. And that protects them, so they get to see it before we do it.
Right.
And so it's kind of,
But that's still kind of,
That was our only zoning. that-
Right.
at the time,
Approved.
so I guess was the intent all along to come and ask for an amended ordinance?
no,
taking
that's
rid of
why
the commercial?
Matt, excuse me for interrupting, but that's what Matt's correct about. In February, he said, look, if you guys can all come together, then let's look at what's best for the overall commercial center.
And I remember that conversation, but I guess to my original question, you guys, and again, this was rezoned prior to both myself and Raylene coming on the commission. But they wanted the development agreement, so you guys requested the TC zoning so that the county had the development agreement.
Gives them the most chance to review
it's
what's
the
being
only-
submitted.
It's the only
Before.
remaining
Yeah.
power we have to try to control.
Correct.
this.
So, which brings us full circle. And that is, we've done many of these commercial centers in the past. And an example is up at Kimball Junction, we did Redstone. And it's just a quick story. You don't know where Redstone is. You do. Redstone was the cat's meow, was at Kimball's Junction. It's gonna stop everybody from going into Park City because they're gonna stop here and eat. They're gonna stop here and shop. And they're already across the street at the outlet malls because Utah's value oriented. They go to those outlet malls, and then on the top of that, here comes across the street came a Walmart. So the answer was, okay, we put in 230 homes, and then we put in this lifestyle type center, this commercial. We had great tenants, and it was out of business within 3 years. Okay. And then we had to retool it with, and I'm not trying to be, we had to retool it with Mom and Pa's tacos and Asian buffets, and it started to look like a strip center because we lost its personality. So
Why?
because it wasn't sustainable. There wasn't enough people, and people wouldn't stop. They were going still into Park City. They wanted the atmosphere of Park City. Only when all of Glen Wild and all of the other projects started to come in and said, I can't go into Park City because I can never eat because it's a 2-hour wait. I'm gonna eat out here. So now it's kind of been retooled, but my point is, so when Tony and I were working on the commercial, we were trying to say, we have to be really careful on our timing. What is the critical aspect of this for the commercial? And we concluded that one of the critical aspects for our overall absorption is the interchange. And so we started focusing during the summer, doesn't affect Brandon, it affects us, so we didn't include Brandon in those conversations. But the interchange is the most critical aspect for our absorption. And so we have a report from Robertson Lewis Young that says, if you get the interchange, you're going to be able to attract the Class A tenant. And the Class A tenant means that the people then want to go and eat there. So we've kind of concluded that it isn't just getting back to the commission, what the commercial is going to be. It's trying to figure out with our legislators and our elected officials, what is the timing of the interchange? Now, we know that that's in your world too. So we've been meeting with Blake Moore, with Stuart Adams, with Mike Schultz. We've been meeting with Brad Wilson. and he gives his high regards to some people here. And he basically, the money for the interchange is coming from the Olympics. And we were shocked. We go, really? Well, okay, maybe that's good, because you know, from our interchange, we're not even in the top 10 on the Wasatch. Yeah, we're not even close. So with the monies coming from the feds, we then said, well, how do they pry it out of that guy's cold dead hands? You know, I mean, and they go, well, John Curtis is leading the charge from that, and he's going to get the money. And we're saying, when will that money? Because you can't bring the money in on 2030 when you're on 2034. So you've got to bring the money in. And then one of the things in working with Davey, Retchford, the manager, I had no idea that the Paralympics was coming to Snow Basin. And that's 2 weeks of 100% Paralympics. And that's huge. Okay, so Channel Fox ran the thing. What's the number one infrastructure that has to go in before the Olympics? The interchange at Mountain Green. And they showed that. So I know that's separate than what we're here to talk about. I'm only saying that we spent several months trying to saying, where is this money and when is it coming? And then what does it cost? And how does that affect us? Is the final design of that interchange is critical for our interface of both the 35 acres, the sewer, and the other things that's associated with it. So we became very infrastructure oriented the last few months, not as much what's the final product ready to show everybody. We spent more time trying to focus on how does that relate to the interchange. On our 35 acres, we show some apartments next to the interchange. We show some townhomes, and we show a ton of single family. And then before you fall off your chair, we show a little bit of some RV pads, but they're 55 feet below us. They're way down here because the elevation is way up here and our ground is way down below. So we kind of said, well, that might make sense.
Is that adjacent to the rest stop right there?
Yeah, because the rest stop would come out, but
That's kind of consistent.
yeah. And so we're just brainstorming. We're not,
So Rulon, I guess my question would be then is how do we deal with it in allowing, figuring out land transfer, swap, use, so that everybody can move forward? I mean, I know you've got a little piece approved that you can move forward with. They don't have anything approved that they can move forward with until we figure this out. And I know they don't want to just sit on their ground. I know the infrastructure we got to figure out.
well, but
All of it.
But see, they don't have access. They don't have sewer. They don't have water. And we're all saying to you, when are you going to start looking at Development 101?
Well, we understand that we have to have sewer and we understand that we have to have water from Cottonwood Water. So we're looking at that those discussions have been had. We know we have to go way down and bring the sewer up. The sewer only benefits you when we bring it up.
I know, but
So
we ought to have those discussions on access, sewer, water, and all those things. And
Well-
in a June 8th email I sent to you, it outlines that.
you're absolutely right. It does. But then you're also getting approvals for development and the last time I spoke with you on connecting to Rollins Ranch Road, which was 2 weeks ago, was, well, the city's already given us conceptual approval for this. If you want, you can add on or buy or whatever for your access.
Okay.
And I'm wondering why that isn't all in the planning process to begin with, because we're going to develop that. That we
So-
want to have access in there.
So we created the room on our land necessary that could expand to a 65-foot road. So you could get in there, but I'm not going to put the road in. And I told you that in the meeting.
But so you want us to cross the river
Yeah,
on your property?
yeah. But we're going to grant it to you. I'm not gonna go, why would I build the
Well, I guess-
bridge?
I guess again, that's called planning. We plan and we decide how we're gonna get roads connected, because the only other thing to do is for us to create two roads into our property and not have access or not go into neighboring property.
So even though in June we reached out to you, you've been ignoring it because you want us to put it in?
No, that's not at all what I'm saying.
Oh, okay.
I'm saying, you know, obviously it's gonna take planning and figuring out.
County
You
doesn't
also-
have any money to put in the bridge.
So you also wanted to know if we would deed or give you the strip behind the mechanic or the shop over where you've got those.
We really don't care anymore. It's just gonna sit there as an abandoned alley because you guys have been so stubborn.
We haven't been stubborn.
How many? Then
We're
in June
trying.
I proposed it.
Yeah, no, we're trying to, you've proposed it. So that's your only proposal? That's the only option?
Well, we said, if you abandon that, then we'll create this room over here so you can get your access in. And so Josh said to us, please give them enough room so that we can make it a wide road so that everybody, we can't deny access to our neighbors and we're not trying to. But at the same time, we're not required to go across the creek and we're not required to make it that
I
wide.
guess that's my question. Are we required to go across the creek?
For a second means of egress, I would think.
Well, if we can get a second means of egress without going across the creek, we're not required.
I don't know why you would have to if you have a second egress.
60 feet wide.
Well, and
So-
our 35
I don't
acre.
But in my thought of planning and connectivity, that doesn't make a lot of sense, because who wants to go out of one development to come back into another development, or who wants to leave a development to get into a commercial? Realistically, it makes sense to plan where those connections are and work together. I'm not saying, Ruin, that you have to pay for the entire connection. I'm just simply saying, okay, our property ends here and we've got to connect your road over there. So what does that look like?
Well, we have a road coming out of our 35 acres that goes into your 40
It
acres.
stops short of our 48.
It's right there.
Is that going across the river?
No, then over here, we're only bringing it to our project right here and it stops.
Yeah, so then we come.
Then
we
you come
across
from
the
here
river and all the way
across.
across. Well, why isn't this development required to take it to at least somewhere?
And they are. And those are the discussions that need to be had.
So
you
those are the
can't put your
discussions.
head in the sand, Brandon.
I'm not, but those are
Yes,
the
you are.
discussions I'm not entirely included in. Ruin?
No, I brought it up in Dwayne's meeting and our meeting 2 weeks ago Friday. Correct me if I'm wrong.
No, you did. You
Okay.
brought it up. But you also said, you've got to improve this. And
And you-
I'm not
and you do.
opposed to that. But
Just-
I need to help, I need some understanding, because we're also bringing the sewer all the way up. We're also bringing water and making improvements to Cottonwood water.
We don't think you have the depth necessary to bring the sewer all the way up. We've studied it. It barely feeds our 35 acres.
The new sewer line that's
Mhm.
coming
So what
through.
is that? So what is,
I don't know. Those are the things I pointed out in the June memo and gave you the drawings to the sewer and said, here, study this. And we had our engineers study it and said, you know what, might service the 35 acres, but since the ground goes like this, by the time this is gonna get, it might be out of the
So
ground.
if we can get the sewer to work, that's not a problem.
Agreed.
If we can get the water.
And we're
to work,
not
that's a
denying
problem.
sewer. We're not denying water. We're not denying anything. We're just trying to say, let's enter into some kind of negotiation that says, we're gonna solve access, we're gonna solve sewer.
That's what I want,
We're-
is some kind of something.
Okay, but it's not
Okay.
coming from the county. It's between two parties.
But I think the county has to be involved, because it's part of the planning of what they want this entire thing to look like. Is it not? Do you not have a vision?
well, we absolutely have a vision of what we would like.
But the
I don't-
infrastructure is
As
not.
far as the infrastructure and the agreement between you two is, we don't need to be involved
No,
in that, but we
I
would
agree.
like to see how it's done, for sure, yeah.
Yeah, I think the other thing too, from our perspective, though, it's a little difficult for us to figure out exactly what's the best way to go for development without having, you know, our unit counts and all that kind of dialed in. So I understand what you're talking about, you know, development 101, but typically the way we like to do things is, you know, we like to understand what we're building first and then plan the infrastructure around that. So, I mean, this is a completely different negotiation and discussion if we're at 260 units versus 70, right? I mean, so that's, 70, we just mothball the thing and we just sit because that's not gonna pencil. If it's 260, okay, now we've got some units to spread this
And
out
I
across.
understand that.
That's what we need to
But,
discuss.
so, it's not our world to criticize your units,
Mhm.
your counts and everything
Sure,
else.
yeah.
Right? That's up to you.
Mhm.
Do we like them? We don't.
Mhm.
Do we think it's not consistent with Mountain Green?
Mhm.
We do. And we've said that.
You said.
And so we live here in Mountain Green.
Mhm.
PV3 lives here in Mountain Green. We want what's best for Mountain Green. And so we're trying to say, we don't think what's been presented is consistent with what Mountain Green.
But it is consistent with what the zoning says. If you
Okay, and there's the rub.
So if you read the zoning per what the zoning is and what's been
Okay.
approved in the county, it is
So-
consistent with that.
So that's why,
However, there was an agreement that you guys didn't receive when you bought the ground.
Letter of understanding. memo.
Well, so, and I would kick back a little bit on that because I'm not sure where that agreement is even enforceable. One, because it's not recorded against the property. Two, that's a one-sided signature. There's not multiple signatures. It's just the previous developer signed a paper and it's just floating out there and that's great. But I'm not sure how that's enforceable or what that.
You're right, it's not enforceable. So what
that's
is
why we're here.
enforceable though is what we say as a commission of what you can do there.
Sure. But if in the negotiations of our MDA, you're requiring something significantly outside of what you've already zoned, that becomes an illegal exaction at that point, and that's when things get really hairy. So I understand where you guys are, and that's why we're here at this table trying to figure out something that works for
This went
everybody.
to referendum and
Understood.
they made an agreement
Mhm.
with the people to pull the referendum back out.
And is that a recorded document?
I don't know if it is a recorded document.
So that's what I'm trying to
I
understand.
don't believe it was even the landowners that signed that.
And so I'm not sure what that agreement,
Couldn't find it.
yeah, I'm not sure what that even means.
I don't either.
You're on that
And,
referendum.
I was, no.
but,
There
but
was some people over Mountain Green.
But what we're-
Yeah.
I'm speaking out of turn, but this is the legislative branch.
Mhm.
And everything comes through the legislative branch. They ask us to work together to create a community.
Mhm.
And what we're seeing doesn't create that community. Now, again, it's none of my business, other than to say, we think it's a combination of townhomes, but it's also a combination of single family and a combination of less densities,
Mhm.
creating a sense of place.
Mhm.
Okay?
Is your development, is that 6 units to the acre? Is that what that pencils to be?
Yeah, it's less than that. But again, all we were trying to do is, we're single family next to you, but you didn't know that. And I'm not saying, because one thing we've never got into is the product type. But we have studied Eagle Mountain and we've studied the vineyard and we've studied the stuff that you have on your webpage. And that's different than what we've seen here in Mountain Green. That's all I think everybody's trying to
Different in
say.
terms of exteriors or different in terms
I
of?
think it's a combination of
Yeah.
numbers and a combination of mountain architecture and
Mhm.
everything else.
Sure, but
Now,
that's gingerbreading. Like,
It
we can
is.
Take the
You
same
put-
floor
you-
plans and. throw
Correct.
some
but if
gingerbread.
you're
That's
looking
fine.
to maximize it and dollars wise, sometimes it just doesn't happen that way up here. We have to get to a point where we're
Right, but you can
creating.
understand that from our perspective, that sometimes that doesn't happen up here. There's the letter of the law, there's the spirit of the law, right? We're going to live with what's in the existing code and what's within the existing
and
zoning.
Their life.
If we submit what we're planning on, tell us how it doesn't fit the existing code. Tell us how it doesn't fit the existing zoning. If that's the case and we agree with it or disagree with it, we can take it up with the ombudsman's office. We could, get our land use attorney involved, whatever we want to do. But at the same time, I haven't heard from anybody at this table or anybody in any of these meetings. I spent a lot of time listening to all of the live sessions from the last 2 or 3 years. I haven't heard one argument that says that what we have here presented does not fit what is in word for word the town center zone. And I'm happy to be proven wrong. I don't care about that. Just tell me what we're missing. Outside of that, if we want to do something different than that, we're also open to that too. But we got to know, what does that look like? And how much is that going to impact us financially? And if it's going to impact us financially, that's a conversation that we need to have. We're not going to just wave the white flag and say, sure, do all single family homes. We're going to lose half of our density. Let's go. Sure, that's the quickest way probably to get a deal done and quickest way to, get this thing developed out. We're trying to balance that. What's the quickest way to turn a shovel? And what's the quickest way to actually, get what we need, but also come to an agreement somewhere in the middle where it's going to make sense for us financially, but make sense for the town as well. And that's what I think this meeting is about, if I'm not mistaken. So now that I've said that piece, understanding, I think the connectivity makes a lot of sense. Who's responsible for connecting it? That's another discussion for
We'll
another
work that
day.
out. We can work.
Yeah, I'm not as worried about that. I don't think it's a massively expensive connection. I do think that, based on what I'm understanding from the fire code, we could meet that requirement still with the 2 accesses that don't have to cross that creek. Does it make more sense to cross that creek so we can get commercial access from our property to the town center? Probably. Does it make sense? Probably. And we'll take a look at that. But I guess from this point, what do we need to do to get the county what they want, to figure out how to work something out with Ruin and figure out how to move forward? Because this yelling back and forth about who didn't respond to an email in June, I don't know. I wasn't even employed with Flagship at that point. I don't really care. What do we got to do?
Well, see, then it was your problem.
Yeah, that's what it was.
No, Brandon and I have been communicating. That's not the issue. The issue is getting it back on paper so that we can represent something. And we can work that out. That's not a problem.
And we're not gonna, we
But
can't
on the
operate with
densities-
handshake agreements. We can't operate
On the
with.
densities and maximizing dollars,
Mhm.
you might have an issue. Because that's not what this county's about.
Okay, that's not what this county's about, but yet that's what the code says.
And
So that's where the rub's gonna come in, is you can't have a code and then just say, well, we don't like the code because.
but the code was put, nothing. I'm seeking out a term. I apologize. What's that?
They can all come down, that's fine, but the problem is that that's what the code says. That's what the code was written by. The county wrote a code that they're not wanting to adhere to. That's the concern.
So what is wrong with you guys working together?
There's nothing wrong with that.
Let me finish. Working together on preferably your property be the residential and valued accordingly,
Mhm.
and get the commercial down into that property in the lower end,
We can.
and make it to where this thing can all work together as a complete development agreement.
Nothing wrong with that.
What's wrong with that?
There's nothing wrong with that.
Densities.
So why aren't you?
We're a predominantly residential builder. We prefer to not have any of the commercial.
Right, but if
So
you're-
if we're all
if
in
you're
line
in
with that, great. The problem though comes
Is our
into,
TC zone says you have to have 35%. Well, that's
Correct.
what I'm saying. Take that 35%, give it to them.
are you opening yourself up to a rezone at that point when you're restricting and
No,
pulling that out?
The
No.
That's
county
the
will
other
work
question.
with this. They said in February, and Josh understands that. He just didn't see in the last meeting, Janet, in March, Brendan? I lose time, March or April, that these parties were considering, so he didn't rewrite the rezone. PB3 needs to amend to meet that, and at the same time, you're saying, Blaine, correctly, but is it all related to densities? And that's what you're saying, and I
I don't
understand.
know what it all is. I'm just saying
If it's
there-
related to densities,
Yeah.
that could be the
Janet,
issue.
you're not helping me here on. when
the
we-
current design is about 7.5 to 8 units per acre, right? That's what the current design
When we
is.
have a referendum didn't just go away. How does that happen?
I think the people that petitioned for the referendum should have made sure that they had an enforceable agreement. That's my concern. When I take one look at that, I don't know how you enforce it, who gets to enforce it. County doesn't. And I don't know who you get to enforce it against.
We got a
Because I don't
document signed by
think
somebody who
But
is
if,
not even involved in it.
but if they are the legislative body, and I'm speaking out
They
of
knew
turn,
what they were doing. They were just flipping the property.
Yeah.
but if you're the legislative body and you understood that,
So what do we have of the legislative body
yeah,
at this?
that's the question.
That's my question.
Well, we have our county commission.
Which we can say no
Sure.
or yes.
Well,
Yes,
but,
and that's why you have
but
the
at this-
development agreement.
but at this point, it's somewhat of, because they've got the TC zoning, So it's somewhat administrative, but there's still the legislative side of the development agreement.
Mm-hmm.
And so
Right.
So
now
we're
you're
saying what do
saying,
we have?
but here's what your code says. But we could say, well, yeah, but you've got to have your 35%. We'd like to see a
And that's
good,
fine.
clean,
Yeah.
a good, clean town center down there that has the commercial here and not just,
I'm
maybe a
asking,
piece in
what
there.
can we do if they meet their 35 and they made it, what can you do?
I don't think you can do anything.
You have to,
I
you have to
think,
approve the
yeah.
code.
I think this probably should have had a little more foresight if you wanted them to work together and consolidate.
We did.
their-
So at this point, the way that I see it is from the county's perspective, the ways to move forward is either joint development agreement, pulling all the properties together to get the zones where you want them,
Mhm.
or this is probably too late now, but you could have done a bubble zoning regardless of property lines that showed exactly where you want commercial, so that a commercial portion here, but the property is split into commercial and residential, and you could have created your town center that way. The problem is that ship
Which
is
is better for
sailed.
traffic.
It's better for traffic, but the problem is that ship is kind of sailed now because you'd have to go back through a rezone process and then you're probably,
So what's wrong with the joint agreement?
I don't know that there's anything wrong with it. What we're hoping is, what we don't want to do is put ourselves in a position where we're beholden to another party, when in our position, our legal position is that we could present what we have right now and move forward with it. We don't want to put ourselves in a worse position by trying to go through this joint development agreement. So that's what I'm saying. We're open to it, but at the same time, like, it can't delay us, and it has to be some sort of fair and equitable process. And we're
Can you
not-
move forward with your sewer and water?
We'd have to figure out sewer and water, but we have plans to get through that. So that is something that we're working on. But what we're talking about right now is simply an MDA. Sewer and water and all that development, of course, you're gonna have to get all that before you can get a building permit or CEVO, or even, turn a shovel into a pre-con for the horizontals. But that's a different level.
You have to have a will serve for preliminary approval.
Right, and we can get will serves. The question is that will serve, it will be,
Not a
do we need
mutual
infrastructure?
watershed.
Cottonwood Mutual doesn't have any capacity.
There's no capacity.
Highlands has no capacity.
Zero.
There's only one company that has capacity.
So that's what's funny about a will serve letters. Technically, will serve letters exist independently of capacity. I've gotten plenty of will serve letters from plenty of different companies that say, we will serve you, but we don't have the capacity to serve you right now.
So
Mutual.
back to, again, we're getting back to that back and forth. I mean, just as myself, I look at it as, I think we want to see the groups work together. That was our goal
Yeah,
months
That's what
ago.
I would like to think.
Okay,
I think.
I understand your position. You guys, you're here, everybody here at this table, other than the commissioners, are here to make money. That's why you're a developer, right? That's why you're in business.
You don't make it necessarily, but
That's the goal, though, right? That's why we all go to work, right?
that's the goal.
But
We're okay with breaking even sometimes.
Every once in a while.
But I also see it as, if you guys are willing to work together and hammer out, if you're the residential side and the commercial's
Absolutely.
going over here, is that something in the development agreement that we do the amended saying, look, maybe you don't need 80 acres of commercial.
Mhm.
I think we're all sitting there going, that's kind of stupid. But can that commercial be amended to being parks and ball fields? And what, can we amend it to, for this
Mhm.
development? We're gonna get that open space. We'll give you higher density here for open space there.
Mhm.
And we work together.
Yeah.
Instead of our attorneys and our attorneys are gonna fight and we're gonna do this. It's like, then everybody's losing.
Right, and that's exactly what we're trying to avoid. And we're also trying to avoid, obviously, getting raked over the coals. I understand that everybody else lives here, everybody else has a local connection. We live in Utah, we don't necessarily live in Mountain Green, but we still are kind of local. We're in the same, state. So I understand what you guys are saying, but at the same time, we're not gonna be an adversary. We don't wanna build something that's going to look terrible. We still have to market and build these homes and build something that somebody's going to want to buy. There's a free market aspect.
And Steve, you said something super important. If
Mm.
we're thinking 20, 30 years down the road.
Yeah.
We might want a clustered commercial.
Yeah.
Otherwise, all the commercial in once, it's gonna turn into a Kimball Junction nightmare.
Mhm.
There'll be so much traffic right in
Yeah.
that centered area. Might not be a bad idea to cluster our commercial around instead of, like we were thinking, the one big area. Having just gone to a bunch of trainings on this,
I don't know.
they've proved
So
it.
I have a degree in Masters in Public Administration, emphasis in urban planning. So there's the right side of my brain
Yeah.
that does all the planning and I say, this is what it could look like. Then there's the business side of my brain that's like, I have to protect the interests
Yeah.
of my company. And so how do we marry the two? That's the question.
Right. Cause in 30 years, there's gonna be so much traffic there.
But there's gonna be
Actually,
so
in
much traffic.
2034, there's gonna be
Traffic's
so
good.
much traffic
I
there.
mean, we may want to even put into a component of this is transit. I hate to say that, and I know Rulon doesn't want to see that. But
No,
you know,
I do.
I mean, I think we may need to be looking at an area plan, stationary.
Like, do we have to look at a park and ride to get buses up to the
That's
snow
right,
basin?
because you're gonna have to have the air commuters that are coming in.
I'm not gonna present a gondola because this thing's already
No,
got
I
too
don't
much
have a
heat.
gondola, but the air transporters are coming.
Yeah.
Now we have to determine where they're going to land
Mhm.
and where they're gonna take off, because these are air taxis.
Yeah.
And they're gonna be taking people up to the Olympics.
Yeah, that doesn't
In that
necessarily need to
timeframe.
be built right now, but it needs to
No,
be at
but we
least
have
thought
to be
about,
in the
right?
plans.
Yeah.
We can't destroy something we put
Gotta
in.
be forward thinking.
Yeah.
We've gotta have this vision of what's going on down here.
Yeah.
Down there, and make it to where it is a viable solution for everything.
Right.
And maybe we need to change the TC zoning and forget it, just basically make it a development agreement in the county, an administrative development agreement. We will decide what it is you guys can
And then
put
you
in.
could decide what adjacent property gets annexed into said
I don't know if that's
development agreement.
feasible, Janet.
I think it is. I think it might be, but
I
anyway.
think the joint development agreement makes the most sense.
It does.
So, and I think that was our goal back months ago, was for all parties to sit down.
Yeah.
And okay, what is the best for this? And it's much easier, if it was just Ruan, it'd be easy, or
Sure.
just PB3, it'd be easy, but you've got all these different visions, and I think that was our hope back in,
Mhm.
what was it, February? Is that when we
Could
all?
we
met?
say, could we say that the materials will not ever be stucco?
Yes, please.
I don't know.
We'll
Well,
have to check with our team on that. I have my own personal feelings about stucco, but I
Stucco-
mean,
stucco
if that's a hill everybody's willing to die on, I think we can probably.
Well, why
concede
I
on
say that
one.
is because stucco in our temperature, in the.
It's not a
mountain,
northern Utah.
It is not a product in this world.
Hmm.
There's
It's St.
very
George
limited
and-
use of stucco. So materials, so let's just break it out in the joint development agreement one. So you've got architectural styles, okay? Architectural that.
Materials,
The
color.
materials that tie in,
Mhm.
the open space. So instead of putting in 14 acres of commercial, would we put in 14 acres of just parks and open space?
Or have that where the infrastructure goes and have trails.
I don't know. I'm just saying,
And water and sewer and all that kind of stuff.
Again, yeah,
all our
you'd
people
have to
can
look
come
at
over
it.
and play in
Yeah.
your parks. No, I'm just kidding. My point is that. there's-
44 acres of park. There we go.
No, 14
We just-
acres.
We just got all of our density removed.
You just won great lead.
Yeah, but, so then it gets to product types.
Mhm.
And so forth. So all of those things, I think, are what we're all trying to figure out.
100%.
What's best.
So now that I've ruffled everybody's feathers, we're on the same page. We want to get to an agreement that makes sense for the area. But at the same time, we're going to have to protect our interests, and we're not going to be sitting here in a situation where it's like everything on our property becomes quarter acre lots and, that's it. And everybody else gets density and commercial pushback
You
and
mean you couldn't do it on quarter acre?
no, this would not pencil
Why
on
not?
quarter acre lots.
What about if it was less than that and have cottage units?
So I'm totally open to have some single family on there. If it's somewhere around, 4,000 square foot, 5,000 square foot, 6,000 square foot, or a blend of all the above, I think makes sense.
And we met on that yesterday with Josh, and we can get to that.
Great.
We're not
And again, all those would
Those
be
are
adhering
lots
to like,
with single family homes.
Just smaller lots,
Yeah,
smaller homes.
and
And
if you correct me if I'm
And I
wrong,
think that's,
we think that there's some, Skylar, what was the zone called?
PC.
PC
the
zone.
PC zone.
Yeah,
That's
That,
what- that's
that
what
would,
the
we
development-
think we could meet it. It tied into the development agreement.
sure.
And
Well, the development agreement is the zone on the PC zone.
Sorry,
Yeah.
correct. You're right.
Yeah.
Vaughn's right. So I just hated to play.
Consensus.
I don't get that very often.
He's lame.
I'm surprised.
I'm not-
He's never told me.
So number one issue is density, just to be totally honest.
That's gonna be our number one issue too, yeah.
Okay.
Mhm.
But somehow there has to be a blending of that. Because that's what started, and all the commissioners, that's what started the referendum.
Mhm.
And we watched it.
Yeah.
And so somehow we've got to come back and say, okay, what is the appropriate densities? Now, it might be higher here in this area of your development versus over here.
Mhm.
Might be this versus this. So those are you correct me if I'm wrong, but those are the issues that have to be worked through.
So you're wanting a blended of somewhere between 6 to 8 units per acre. So if we had 12 units per acre on the west side, blended down to like 5 units per acre or something like that on
And
the
the-
west side.
And I think
Then
that's
that-
what that memorandum of understanding was saying,
Mhm.
is
Well-
start higher and then work your way east.
It also had 14 acres of commercial though, which is,
Right.
yeah.
Yeah,
But it's, they're saying,
Yes.
so we work on the commercial, get it out of this zone,
Mm.
create more open space, more parks, more trails, and yet at the same time, create those pockets of densities.
Mhm.
I think we can get there if the product type and the architecture and everything else gets to that. I don't know that you need to look at your ROI on what you're trying to achieve, but at the same time, I think that it's pretty unique that we get a chance to create something that's going to be there forever. That's why when the Bullies and Randon was with us, when Rocky Mountain shows up, we're all like, what? You got to be kidding me. We're just focusing on this. And you guys got 138-foot towers coming down through there.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
I do agree it would look better if we buried it all, but of course that is another significant cost. And so we'll have to
Yeah,
figure out what that is
But,
going to
but
look
those
like.
are the things you just have to work in your pro formas
Yeah.
and fall on the sword and say, Blaine doesn't have money like that. The county doesn't have money to
yeah, we don't. And I,
do things like that.
but you know what? There might be somebody that does. Rocky Mountain Power.
Based on
Well-
the bills I've been paying, I'm
So
pretty sure they
I think we have the money
do.
now.
I think they're okay.
Do you
Yeah.
think that Berkshire Hathaway isn't to the bottom line on everything?
Yeah.
Yeah, trust me,
Is
they
that
are.
something we could use for that, disaster relief grant? For
Excellent.
very,
Well-
it can be used for infrastructure as long as you're proving it's providing more jobs.
So there is some grant money we've been looking into for things like that. And there's 45 million available. Applications due October 1st. Joe, that's me and you writing it the next few nights.
Is this what?
Isn't this just a letter of intent or is it an actual application?
No, it's an actual
Yeah,
application
coming up.
for innovative finance and asset concessions grants through the federal government. We've been working on trying to say, what can we get? Now there's participation and we're not asking the county for money. But there is up to $1 million grant. And so we're writing it with the county. It's a public-private partnership. We get $1 million. We're writing it. It's a 10-page, easily submittal. We can take the lead on it and review it with Kate and whoever you want us to.
Is burying the power line something Rocky Mountain Power would give us sort of like a pioneering
They will,
payback
30
agreement
years.
on? Okay, so you'd be able to recapture whatever that fund is over time.
Yeah, we're
Okay.
trying to work through that, but we're also trying to say, get us a realistic number because, you don't know. You're just throwing those numbers out for shock therapy.
Right.
Not realistic. But we think we can get $1 million grant to study these kind of issues,
Mhm.
and time is of the essence, but at the same time, okay, where is the transportation? How does all the infrastructure work, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera? So if the county's open to that, we would make it's called the Innovative Finance and Asset Grant Program. And it could tie into kind of this general area. Now, there's also grants that would be available for other things. And maybe there is money for that. I still believe that Rocky Mountain needs to come back after meeting with UDOT and get a realistic number because UDOT's not going to let them go overhead with that when they're that high in the air. So they're looking at that. I still think that those two are intertwined, doesn't have anything to do with today's discussion, other than that's where we kind of got sidetracked with our world.
Do we think UDOT could contribute on that as well?
Mhm.
Okay, so I mean, a combination of contributions from private
Yeah,
grants, paybacks, and UDOT kicking in for their portion, we should be able to.
yeah, we should be able to reduce that down drastically.
Isn't there something within the station area plans that you can also get grant money from?
There is. But,
So that could be a component of
Right.
all of this.
Right.
and then as we were starting to clean up, just another side issue, is we were starting to clean up along the creek for kind of the trash that was there in the ground that we did buy. We,
I've been told there's a lot of stuff buried in the ground.
Maybe bodies.
we just took those to the dump. They could have been in
They
there.
could have been.
But then somebody,
Most of the time,
You gotta say that you're just kidding.
I am
There
just
was
kidding.
This is a public.
You're just kidding.
Well, the lake mead has.
Raylene said there were
Just
3
kidding.
bodies.
Just kidding.
So we then discovered that somebody called the Darren at the stream alterations, and we didn't have a permit. We now have a permit. And we're in the way of restoring all this. And it gets really complicated because all we were trying to do is clean up. And there's a lot of cleanup. Now, that being said, I'm not trying to fall on the sword. I'm just trying to say, we've been busy in trying to promote what's best for the community. And that community is one that we only get one shot at it. And I'm not trying to be cavalier about it. I'm not trying to say I'm in control of anything. All I'm trying to say is, I think the commissioners in February and so forth said, look, we want what's best for Mountain Green. And we appreciate that. That's
Absolutely.
really huge because, and you can see how well we've got along and we're gonna do better. But that being said, we'll have to have those discussions and we'll start our weekly ongoing discussions and they're trying to beeline it to a development agreement, whether that's a joint agreement. Let's look at it. The rezones on the commercial, or not rezone, but the ordinance modifications by Josh, all of those tie in. So we hear you loud and clear and we need to do better.
So what's the
And I
next?
know Josh would like to get on the ordinance, but he doesn't have enough specifics to do it.
Yeah. So I guess what's the
So you
next,
can't.
what's the next
Agreed.
step on the private party side? We just kind of need to figure out all the properties that would be in this joint development agreement, come up with a concept plan that's based on that, and then take it to the county, do another work session, and then get your feedback on that. Because you're not, as a county, going to be able to just draw lines on a map and tell us exactly what you want,
No.
unfortunately. I wish you guys could, because that would be great, and it would probably save everybody time, but I understand that there's some legalities and some issues with doing that, and so we'll have to essentially put it together and talk about what makes the most sense.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you want to run point on drawing something up, or should we run point, or should we both do one and then?
Let's just get a meeting and start hammering through it.
Okay. Do you want to meet with your engineer? Who?
Yeah, our engineers can, we have Ensign and you guys have,
Focus,
yeah.
but we're happy to,
No, I mean, you can use your engineers. I think we just need to sit down and start working
Yeah,
through.
for a
those
concept
issues.
plan, we can just use one person and just figure that out.
We could
So,
do that too.
Do you want to meet at Ensign's office or?
That'd be help
Yeah.
in Layton.
Yeah, we can do that.
Brandon's close.
Yeah. You want to try to set that up?
yeah.
Okay. Great.
Do we want to set a follow-up?
Well, I don't know.
I don't, yeah, I think we got to figure
Let's
out
work
that,
through, get
Yeah,
that concept.
we gotta
don't
figure
want
out the
to come to
timing.
a County commission.
Can you put
Yeah.
together how
Without
much you
us.
think commercial wise that you,
Yeah, we can do that.
and so you know that your jobs are
Yeah.
gonna pencil. We're not asking things to not pencil.
Rulon, do
Asking it to
you
look.
feel like? the
well, you
commercial
don't want it to not pencil,
properties
because otherwise it
We can
gets
solve it.
yours.
We
It
can-
becomes
we can
essentially a
solve it.
mothball
Commercial.
To you.
property.
Yeah.
Because
We've
I don't
made,
want
we've
it to
already
be-
made some.
No, we can solve it. I just think I think we got to solve the commercial first and we can solve it. Let's work on that.
So now tell me, and part of your potential plans for down there in that center, are you gonna make it like the Redstone to a point where there's living quarters above it? Or not?
PV3 would like to do some of that. and their side of it.
We discussed it. We don't have any finalized plans yet.
We haven't looked at that above it, because you've got 513, in that development agreement, which is virtually impossible to put that many units.
What's the interest been on the ones that are there?
The interest for
Interest on the ones that are already built along.
the,
Isn't that what
On
they
the
are,
PV3
commercial on the
side?
bottom, living on the top?
I don't,
That's all.
Yours?
Skylar, do you know?
That's
In
down.
the Rome area? What is that thing? Whole string of,
That's CW.
Townhomes.
That's PV3.
I know that
When
Randy and
the ones
Debbie
that
were
are
looking
above,
at
like
PV3.
Small animal
Yeah.
hospital, they have rooms above. Those others are allowed.
Matt, I
back
don't know.
down.
That's a good
Yeah,
we
question.
actually
I'll
have
call
that
them and
now,
ask them,
so-
Yeah.
how many have they sold? Is
There
they-
is commercial underneath.
It's wrong. It's CW.
Which I think is a great idea, sure. don't like
I think they're
going
actually,
upstairs.
from ugly as they are, they kind of at least put some gingerbread on it. I mean, it looks better.
They're-
We have some plans that look pretty nice, so we pulled out.
The only thing I didn't like about
Sun
Redstone
Valley.
is it's
Yeah,
too close
we
together.
can share with you
And I-
guys.
Yeah,
One of the biggest
I
things
don't
is
understand the concept.
people
You
are
get
tired
to
of
live up
townhomes,
above and then work
apartments.
down
It's just
below.
the,
Yeah.
yeah,
It's
it's just,
actually a
I
nice.
want it to look nice.
I was thinking that
It's just
down
not this
occasionally
cookie
they ought to
cutter.
put a
Yeah,
couple
no,
of
I mean,
apartments
that's-
above a couple of
and I
buildings.
think
This is a different market up here. I would look at it, as
Yeah.
it's more of a ski,
At least I have
move up,
recreational.
recreation, high end type mountain.
Yeah.
Like, I wouldn't look at doing the same stuff we do in Eagle Mountain out
Right.
that we would do out here. It would have to just be a little bit
Yeah,
different.
it's not your new, young graduates.
No, it's, and like the purchase prices wouldn't sustain that anyway. It would
Yeah,
be,
we're gonna be $1 million up here.
you know, not quite. but-
But yeah, remember he said.
Maybe-
he
maybe
saw
you could
that
buy
too,
two
and He's like,
units.
raise the rates. I
Yeah,
saw the
that's right.
view.
He did say that. He did say
But who knows? Who knows at the rate home prices
that.
are
I
going.
was sitting,
We're taking some shots.
standing up by your house that day when you said that too.
Yeah, I mean, if you want, we have some plans that we can probably send over to you.
Monday?
You can kind of take a look at them and, you
Do you want
know,
me to set
use them as
something up?
inspiration.
I
if you
can-
will. That's what we're
I'm on
planning
my
on putting in
computer.
ours,
I
but
can
if
just
we don't
do a
have to
quick
put those in
Cam.
ours, then great, that, you know.
Preston, do you have
something
this?
else.
And I think people will be, getting away from the townhomes.
What time
The apartments,
are you available?
Even the
I know
smaller
you're
lots,
running
with a small
ragged.
single family home.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's not just your jammed wall. to
3
wall.
o'clock?
And we can 100% do that. We've got a lot of 30-foot wide
Monday,
product
the
that's really nice.
29th.
We have some
It is.
decent dense alley load product that's
Yeah, I can do
25
3
wide.
o'clock.
We've got some, you know, we
I just
have a
have meetings
plethora
in
of
the morning
options on
and
the
stuff,
small
but-
single family side.
And that's what I think, as this starts to work, it's like, bring those to us to see what it is.
Green development.
Yeah, and
We're gonna get
I'll get
feedback, like,
Cam,
people are
and we'll
listening,
just meet in
watching,
Layton.
we're
You
gonna
know
get
where it's
feedback
at right there by Red
And it's
Lobster?
like,
Okay.
we understand that you guys can move forward.
we just don't want more what we've got right there.
Sure.
People look at Rome and they're like, that is the ugliest development they've seen. They hate it. And it's like, okay, what is it that you don't like? And those are the questions I ask. What do you not like about it? I don't live there. I mean, I've got
35 acres or
a
the,
lot of property, like,
That road
we've
looked
got a lot of
pretty
property.
nice,
I drove through it.
I was like, oh, it looks pretty good, but all right.
single.
But you have to remember the people that live here, that have lived here for years and they want to continue to
The
live
people
right
don't
here.
like,
Why do they want to live in?
but they're all,
What brought them to
so
Morton?
somebody likes
It's
it.
not the townhomes.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
people that are
The people
investors.
are, yeah.
And that's the people.
It's
that
like
are here.
70% investors.
We want people to still want to be here. so-
Do they not
Like
have
Josh said.
a cap or
We think-
limit or restriction
We
on
didn't
their?
have at the beginning.
That's why Josh wanted that in our development.
Yeah,
agreement.
that's all,
That's right.
it's like 70%.
And that's what Jan-
We
Those are
only
right
have,
next to you.
we only have, short term.
We're not gonna have another one.
Our restrictions on short term.
I think we ought to just.
Rentals overall.
It's rentals overall is what I was, my understanding. They didn't want-
No rental, short term, no rentals.
I think it's only.
Still-
If I understand
No.
correctly.
Oh,
So
okay.
we were asked to put that in our development agreement.
I was just saying our
not
development.
allow
we're
rentals.
right, we're
yeah.
planning on.
That's
doing it,
correct.
No short term.
Oh.
Hey, I started
Wasn't there
acting like a
something
planner. I
about this
did.
2 years ago, state level?
We didn't have in PV3, what do you guys?
They're still working on it.
Nothing
else to add?
It's all hard work.
They're on the.
I heard it's, I understand it's
I
gonna
mean,
be.
are you moving forward?
And the
with
other
anything?
Basically, like, yeah, just,
Are you moving forward with
Stuff
anything?
ready.
I don't have any updates, so I'll have to get back with Blake
That's what I heard.
and with Tony,
Who do you want me to invite?
but
You,
I can have him give you an update if you'd like.
And-
Tony,
Tony,
So,
is he back from Hawaii?
no, there's still.
Tony Curtis,
But he's
right?
gotta be back for Sunday. No, is he back Monday?
He'll be back on, I think, on Saturday.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
Sunday state conference, he doesn't need to be there.
You,
And he's got 2 more weeks to.
you got a main guy coming?
Probably both
A
of
big B
us.
coming?
Yeah.
One of the 12?
If one of us can't make it, the other one can.
Because they called a special one for us because they got one of the big guys coming.
No, this is just our regular state law. The one where it's like, oh, good, I got a weekend off.
You're not dividing your stake.
Bishop Wilson,
Not that we heard it.
did you hear the name of the new ward? Then
Yeah.
from Rome and
Did
Rollins
they
Ranch
split something down there?
We added a new road.
created a new ward called the Old Highway Ward.
Oh, wow.
And it's the Rome subdivision, it's the old highway road.
Like, and they said the first 2 were rejected by the church, but they did accept the Old Highway Road. I go, why would anybody want to be called the Old Highway Road? Or
We're trying to get Tony's ward kicked out of our building.
I would.
We want it back to just 2.
I think
Oh,
you
good luck.
It really drags our times out. all
We
day
have
long.
4.
You know, it
But
could,
you guys can all park you can overlap parking, we can't. Our parking lot's like, you can get like 50 cars in ours, and so.
Thank you for your time. We appreciate it. We'll get to work and come back with sugar plums.
And rainbows
I
and
hope
unicorns,
so.
I can see it now.
for you guys, that you can start something.
No, we appreciate you.
Yeah, thanks for taking your time.
Yeah, thanks for working together. It's really-
It's you guys that are creating what this is gonna look like, so we appreciate you.
Okay. Well, we'll meet with the engineer.
Monday at 3.
We'll get a concept put together, and then when we kind of get that sorted out, we'll come back, another working
Well, we
session.
probably ought to get Josh up to speed sometime.
Yeah, we should probably definitely bring him
Brandon,
in.
we could figure that out. Okay.
I think it might be helpful to get Josh's start of his draft of the
Well,
text amendment. And then we can just add to it.
Why don't you just get a list of what you wanted? We amended
And we can do that.
And then, yeah.
McConnell's on it, so
Yeah.
She texted.
He's
me
on
and says,
vacation this
He's
week.
already
I
started
sent this to
something.
you.
He said he had started.
I can get some.
Who is?
Our attorney used to be,
Oh,
one of these guys. She replaced him. Okay, thank you.
Thank
All
you.
right, so that got sent out for the Monday at 3.
I would really like to see what AI's interpretation of this meeting is.
I'll send you a copy of the
Sheriff's Department because of your dumb job.